Happy Tuesday. It's time for coffee and Cursey words. And then I've got to go hop on a plane. So, it's going to be kind of a quicker one today, but we've got some things to talk about. I got some emails. We have a court of public opinion to do. So, not really case breakdowns today. We got emails today. That's what we got. We don't even have quick bits today because otherwise I won't have time to get to questions. So, I feel like we should just get into it. Y'all are already coming in. Thank you for being patient with me being a few minutes late. I got my water. I already had my Starbucks. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that already. If you don't follow me on social media and want to follow along with my travel adventures, feel free to go follow me on, the Instagrams, the Twitters, at the Emily D. Baker. And yeah, that's where it's at. Oh, I didn't even move. Look, I have it's a rainbow unicorn that came out of my drawer and ended up next to my counter and didn't get put back. And now I need to stand it up because now it's going to live there. That's what's happening. So, Kendra Craft, what do you think of Rachel Hollis supposedly closing her Rise company? I will be interested to see if she does, but this might also be stuff going on in the divorce of Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis, but we can get to that when we get to questions. We are nice and red today, so should we just I feel like we should just get into it. We should just get into it. And then we'll get to questions. So, yeah, I guess really 2 quick bits and then questions is what we got today. So, let's cheers and let's mention it all. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. By way of background, before we get into this first email that comes to us from legal commentator and lawyer who has been hired by the bankruptcy trustee in the bankruptcy of Girardi Keese, the law firm of Tom Girardi, husband of Real Housewife Erica Girardi, and Twitter mess of the weekend, Ron Richards. After Friday night's live stream, I got a very thorough email sent to me at, I don't know, this must have been 4:59 a.m. Pacific time. So it was an early one. Also, I don't check emails on the weekends. Like after Friday Night Live, we've talked about this. Y'all know. After Friday Night Live, I do I go in and do the polls. I don't really check social because I'm not on social much Saturday, and then I do no social Sunday, and that kind of rolls over to no social Monday, especially on a long weekend. But this weekend was extra sassy, so there was a lot to catch up on, and y'all were very kind to keep me in the loop in the DMs, and I appreciate you, law nerds. Like I have said, I don't see everything, I don't know everything, I often miss stuff. So when you guys are like, "Girl, did you see this?" Half the time I'm like, "No, I didn't." So let's take a look. So I got an email because Ron wanted his side of the story to be shared after I asked for comment from Erica's lawyers. So we're just going to talk about the email from Ron Richards real quick. We're also going to talk about how I do things. When I ask for comment from a lawyer, I'm generally asking for a response to another comment, or I'm asking a question about something that they had filed. So I did not reach out to Ron Richards for comment. I reached out to Erica's lawyers for comments about things Richards has posted on Twitter. Because those were statements made in a public forum, I didn't need his comment on it because I already had comment on it. You said what you said on Twitter. I wanted to know what the other side had to say, and that's why I reached out to them. So with regard to the American Express bills that were posted on Twitter, I should just, so everybody's up to speed. If you saw Friday night, you're like, yeah, girl, this is old news. I get it. But if you did not see Friday Night Live, I will pull that up to show you what I'm talking about. There were 2 tweets of Ron Richards that I personally told you why I took objection with. Here's the thing. 2 things can be true at once. And it's not y'all. The law nerds know. It's My band director. Okay, quick story. My band director, Mr. Adams, was a wonderful Southern Black man who gave us all of the sass in the world, and we lived for him. But he would yell at us and be like, y'all sounding like we just grabbed a bunch of kids off the street and tried to make them play instruments, but I've taught you and you know, why do you sound so bad? This was back when you could actually tell kids, like, this is bad, do better. And so our band director, I loved band. Band was like my happy place, band and water polo. But I feel like when we get into these topics, it's not y'all. It's when we grab people off the street who are new here and they get confused. So you can't just grab anyone off the YouTubes and expect them to act right in the chat. Two things can be true at once. There can be tweets from Ron Richards that I don't agree with, but there can be tweets that I'm like, thank you for sharing the information. There are things that point to Erica Girardi that I'm like, girl, this does not look good. I do not like it at all, but it doesn't mean she knew everything her husband was doing. True things can be true at once, right? We cannot like the behavior we see on social. We can have questions about what she knew or didn't know. We can want the money to go back to where it's supposed to go, into the law firm and back to the victims of Tom Girardi, his clients that didn't get paid. But also, that doesn't mean she loses all rights just because she's an unpopular defendant. This is exactly what our legal system was founded on. Mind me while I rant a moment. Our legal system was founded to be different than England. We are a reactionary system that's like, no, you did it this way. We don't want to do it that way. We don't like that. And you have fundamental rights, even if you're not popular, even if the court of public opinion hates you, even if you're Jeffrey Dahmer, you still have constitutional rights. Not to compare Erica Girardi to Jeffrey Dahmer, but when it comes to unpopular defendants who we can all agree suck, he's a non-controversial, we can all agree that you suck, in my mind. So with that, you still have rights. And because we're like, facts, not fuckery, I want to ask the questions about the things that I see that are questionable to me, even though there are still behaviors that I don't like. There are still things she's doing on social I don't like, but it doesn't. The court of public opinion and the court of law are different, which is why we play with the court of public opinion game to look at the difference between the two. So we're calling out fuckery either way, even when the goal sometimes is a goal that we agree with. And we're going to talk about another controversial creator later. And again, it's like, we might like the goal of this person, being maligned by the court of public opinion, but that can sometimes be fuckery when there are also facts that we need to talk about. So we're going to talk about facts with regard to this. So let me pull up the tweets that I took particular issue with. I've told you why I took issue with them, because they are what the email is about. This first one is to respond to EJ to discredit our evidence. I don't know what EJ said. I still am not clear on what she said. The reason this is said this way is because when it comes to a party to the litigation making a comment, the lawyer, not a party, the lawyer to the litigation making a comment, you can respond. We talked about this a lot in the Toddy Westbrook defamation case out of Washington. You can talk about it in a response to what the other party has said. But I don't know what Erica said to warrant this response. The response, though, doesn't allow you to release private financial documents. We released 2 American Express bills. The card used by Erica were directly issued to Erica Girardi. It was 100% her card, her charges, not a company card used by her company. See, I appreciate that information. That makes it more clear. Why does it make it clear? If this was a company card, it's different for me. So if it is a, Erica Girardi, law offices of Girardi Keese business card, you shouldn't be spending on your food, boo. Like, that says business. It's not business. But this is a personal card. So these are 2 different personal cards. One's a Centurion Black card that has her name on it, Erica C. Girardi. 2 things like Farfetch, I'm assuming not the Pokemon. 2 things like Net-a-Porter and food. And Chick-fil-A and Maxfield and Starbucks, personal types expenses, right? Physical therapy, Neiman Marcus, Gelson's, CVS. These are nothing surprising or shocking or whatever. These seem like valid personal expenses. Sometimes if you're meeting a business associate at Shutters, it might be a business association or whatever. The other card being a platinum card with Erica's name on it, Audible, Experian, like Tom's using it clearly for business expenses. This is a legal group, the IAOTP, and things like that. You see the payments made, you see restaurants, Montage, Beverly Hills, whatever. But Ron said in his tweet, to respond to Erica Jane to discredit our evidence and answer a popular question, we released 2 American Express bills. The cards used by Erica were directly issued to Erica Girardi. It was 100% her card, her charges, not a company card issued to her company. The law firm paid the bill. This then is a personal financial record. For me, and the way I understand the law works, that is a breach of privacy rights. If this was just filed in court, it should be filed under seal. So it definitely shouldn't be on Twitter. While I don't think Erica is going to sue Ron Richards and the bankruptcy trustee for an invasion of privacy and for breaching her privacy, could she? I mean, these are her financial records. He said it was 100% her card, her charges, not a company card. Does the rich woman that is Erica go like this when her husband pays the credit card bill? I imagine all these bills got mailed to the law firm and he's like, I pay the bills. And she didn't know whether the bills were getting paid out of the law firm or whether the bills were getting paid out of their personal account. Is that crazy? No. Do I know others who don't know that their spouses pay the bills? Yes. I've paid the bills in my house. And I'm like, Bill, I paid the bills. That was a great thanks. Because he was paying all the bills for his business. Did I look at that? Nope. Do I review my taxes? Yes. Do I know how closely Erica reviewed his taxes? I don't know. I don't know how closely she reviewed the taxes. She knew stuff was getting paid. I don't know if she knew which account it was getting paid out of. I don't think it determines 100% she knew or she didn't know. It's a personal card. He shouldn't have been paying it out of the law firm. Does that mean she knew that her lifestyle, based on this, does that mean she knew that her lifestyle was all a lie? Probably not just based on this. I mean, am I crazy? No. So I think that is a privacy issue, which is why I took issue with this statement. I think the statement could have been made and the question could have been answered without issuing the bills. Hey, these cards were issued directly to Erica. Okay, so she knew they were her personal cards. Great. Then we have other questions about the taxes. I really do think this could have been issued without these attached. But what this shows me is that the bankruptcy trustee has access to Erica's records. And that's what I was really asking about. Well, one of the things I was asking about when I reached out to Erica's attorney and covered that on Friday. I don't think Erica has her records. She said on the show, hey, I sent everything directly to the law firm. And this kind of supports that position that, hey, I sent everything to the law firm. The credit card bills went there, invoices went there, everything went to the law firm, which is why I then took issue with the statement to Radar Online that was since retracted, saying that, we have no reason, we being Ron Richards and the bankruptcy trustee, we have no reason not to believe that the DNA charges were not to Lisa Rinna's company. Well, if you have all the financial statements and you use the financial statements, Ron Richards and the trustee, I think the trustee probably did most of the financial statements, but they are on the same team. They have access. There was a summary made of all the charges and the DNA Inc. one was in there. So that summary came from something and DNA Inc. could have been Googled. So saying, we have no reason not to believe, well, you want to flame Erica for being willfully blind, but also But also, if all of her invoices were being paid by the law firm has the invoices and you have the law firm, so therefore you have the invoices, so therefore those are the documents that were used to make the summary that the bankruptcy trustee filed in court. Therefore, you do have access to the records, so you would have good reason to know that it is or it isn't, and people would rely on and trust your statement because they know that you have access to the law firm and therefore access to the records. My opinion on how I see this. So that's why that bothered me. And then we'll get to what Richards had to say. Now, Richards apparent internet telephone game incoming. Richards told Zach after he made fun of his hair, which, by the way, hashtag no filter, Zach's hair is fire. And don't come for people's looks on the internet. Ever. Like anyone. This is not specific to Richards. This is specific to literally everyone. Don't come for people's looks on the internet. Don't make fun of Zach's hair because you don't like that he's criticizing you. It's stupid. So, Zach said that Richards told him that he was misquoted by Radar Online. I have not seen that. I just saw Radar Online retract the statement, but that is what Zach has reported. So then the issue with Radar Online, separate and aside, but it comes up in Richard's emails to me. That's why I'm giving you kind of my perspective on it, because he has been going after Rinna and throwing out these questions. How much is Rinna supporting Erica? Do they have the same manager? How connected are the two of them? Et cetera, et cetera. That, whatever. Asking questions like, hey, does anyone know if Erica's invested in Lisa Rinna's lip line? That's a valid question. That's evidence gathering. The internet sleuths might know something. But blatantly saying we have no reason not to believe it's Rinna's company is different. There's nuance to these things. But then the thing that really pissed me off and that I thought was a problem was Erica making a comment about the dinner party where she felt she was getting flamed and saying, this I think is a screen. This is a photo of the television. There's not enough Lexapro in the world right now, and dramatic music with the tears, but questioning the use of psychiatric medications and credibility. A, I think is a bad look. B, witnesses can be credible even if they are on medication. It's something to be inquired about, but it is not okay to call people out about their use of medication, especially when they are the opposing party and you are the attorney. It is questioning their credibility is not okay. She said it on the show. We know she said it on the show. There's no need to point it out. Others might. But for the attorney that is on the other side questioning the credibility of the party that he is prosecuting is a low blow. And it's punching down. And I don't think it helps the case move forward, which is why I had issue with it and called it out. I also think it very much skitters along the line of pretrial and potentially prejudicial pretrial publicity. So those are the two that I called out and asked for comment on because he made his comment very clear. I don't need your comment. Your comment's on Twitter. We got it. We got the comment. Comments on Twitter. The comment is on Twitter. Also, I just got completely distracted. Has iPhone announced their? No, I see just announced trending on Twitter as I'm trying to talk about these. I'm waiting for Apple to set invitations for the Apple event that should be next week. So I am distracted. iPhone announcements should be coming. Watch out. I've got to click off of the Twitter window and get to the email that I received. So let's talk about the email. D. Marie, one of my favorite channels up here on this YouTube platform is Observe. And he was talking about this in connection with, if you guys aren't watching Observe's breakdown of Love is Blind, my husband and I watched Love is Blind. It was a train wreck. Rewatching Logan parse through it from a professional place is glorious and I love it. But he talked about with genuine emotion, most people when they're crying try to stop tears and try to kind of like, it's fine, go back in, go back in, go back in. when they are being observed, when they are in public, when they are on television. And he was talking about it in context of Love is Blind. And it just rang so true. He's like, look, if people are being observed and they are just running tears down their face, they want them to be observed. And I was like, oh, 10-4, good buddy. I want you to break down Real Housewives so badly. Please make it happen, because we have seen it recently. We used to see Erica, and even sometimes in interviews, when she starts getting choked up, that she fights it back. But there are these strategic moments in the show where she is letting those tears be on full display. And I wonder if that's why she recoiled from Garcelle so hard, is not that she didn't want Garcelle to touch her, but that she wanted to let the tears flow. And Lillian said, when she put the Lexapro thing out there, she gave him ammunition. That's fine. That can come up in court. I don't think questioning her credibility on social is the way to go with that. I think that it skitters the rules of what you can say. So let's get to this email. Hello, Emily. Hello. Hope you have a good Labor Day weekend. It was lovely. 2 things to clear up. We have never posted anything provided by Erica Girardi to us at Discovery, period. And we cleared that up on Friday too. I asked Erica's lawyers, did you provide the American Express bills? And they said, no, she does not have those. I'm assuming that those came from the firm. And that's what I had assumed as well, that these are documents that were within the law firm. I don't think they've even started Discovery yet. And Ron Richards has cleared that up again. He said any documents we posted were obtained by us from other sources. Well, if you subpoenaed them from AMX, they would still have to be filed under seal because they are private financial records, but okay. The thing is, if they were law firm cards, the law firm doesn't have a right to privacy. But they're not law firm cards. And how do we know they're not law firm cards? Because he said that these are 100% personal cards issued to her. If they are 100% her card, her charges directly issued to her, then the privacy right goes to her. Let's continue. She has the AMX records are not Erica's records. What? Really? The AMX records are not Erica's records. The cards used by Erica were directly issued to Erica Girardi. It was 100% her card. Make it make sense. Look. She spent the money that the law firm was pilfering clearly. And that money, if it can come back in bankruptcy, I have faith that it will come back in bankruptcy for sure. But this just isn't the way to do it. So I don't understand how on Twitter on August 28th, these are 100% her cards issued directly to her. And then in my email on, September 4th, the AMX records are not hers. She has no ownership of those records, and they were posted to show she had knowledge that she incurred the charges on her 100% personal card. Like, what? So that is in response to her claiming ignorance of everything, which I didn't see her do. If somebody can point me to that, that'd be great. They're not her financial records, period. What? I look. I'm gonna have to just go ahead and disagree with that. Based on Ron's statements, they were 100% her card. They were her personal American Express cards. They're hers. Okay. Okay. Y'all can decide for yourself. I know there's some of you that are like, we don't care. Erica sucks. It's the end. But again, he goes on to say, if asking for comment on certain things, please feel free to ask me for comment. Otherwise, you are only getting one side. No, your side was on Twitter. And then I asked for the other side so that I could have both sides. That's all. With regard to Lisa Rinna, he says, As for the Lisa Rinna radar articles, you are also mistaken. Oh, okay. We don't have all the invoices that Erica generated for her production company. Erica should have her own records, which support the expenses she had the firm reimburse her for. Okay. 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 Whether the expenses was Whether the expense was allocated to a clothing company or a production company is irrelevant. But the thing is, though, it is in the grand scheme of things irrelevant. But Radar Online ran with this story, and so did everybody else, that there's this big conspiracy between Rinna and Erica. And I can't think that Richards is ignorant to the desired outcome of running with that narrative. So he then says the bigger picture is that it should not have been paid at all by the law firm, period. Agreed. It does not help her that she says, wait, I had the law firm pay $156,000 for my production company and not a clothing company. But it's not about her. It's just about whether the information that's being shared exclusively on the internet by an attorney who is on this case, who is an active litigant in this case, who is the attorney representing the bankruptcy court, is sharing exclusive information that's not from court records that is accurate or not. That's what it's relevant for. It's not relevant at all. She spent the money. She spent the money. This shows, he says, she does have an understanding of the charges and what they were for, or it shows that her lawyer Googled after everybody else did. The admission to correct our statement, which was simply we have no reason to believe, hurts her position. Okay. It's not better for her. I'm not trying to make it better for her. He says it's not better for her that they were for her personal productions instead of clothes. It's worse. Sure. I think the fact that the monies were paid by the law firm for a music video production goes to show that her company was benefiting from the law firm paying for her business expenses. Yes, I think it shows that, which is why I was so confused that the narrative of we have no reason not to believe it's Rinna's clothing company makes no sense. Just let the documents play out in court. The internet sleuths would have Googled DNA Inc. and run with that. But okay. He then goes on to say, as for the amount in general, it is a minuscule amount compared to the 25. That is the 25 million. That's not the point. He then says her company lost, and I don't know if this is public information, but he then says her company lost $24,000. Wait, $24,145,754 from 2008 to 2014 and 2017 to 2018. Erica has said on the show that her company never made money, so I'm not surprised by any of that. Again, there are massive tax implications and problems here. There are bigger things than whether money was spent on Rinna's daughter's clothing company. If they were using Erica's company to move money from the law firm and take losses and move things around on taxes, the IRS is going to sort it all the fuck out. That's the bigger question. It's just here's an exclusive for the media that they're going to run with, and the narrative, there's plenty of bad here. Like, no need to dump gasoline on the fire. There's no need. There are plenty of people watching this case that will do it. Richards can just be like, hey, this is the next date. Here's the documents, and let the internet do the internet things, which is what we saw Salty doing during the defamation case. Ask a question, back away quietly. But Richards is taken more of a mess with the bull, get the horns approach to this whole thing. The company never made any money, and taxing authorities recognized this and found it to be company that took improper deductions and a not-for-profit company. It was a total tax sham for her and Tom. That might be true. There are a lot of questionable tax things going on. The IRS is going to have a field day with all of this. But again, that's not really for the bankruptcy. That's going to happen with the IRS, and I'm sure is already happening when all of this collapsed. If you need any details on this, let me know. Finally, she and Tom filed a tax protest in 2017. I don't think that's public record. Going back to years 2011, so she was well aware of the problems she had with her bogus deductions. Again, I think that that's a leap, that because Tom had her sign a tax protest, she knew But again, it goes to the fact that she knew there was stuff going on. Though again, I'm not sure that Tom didn't be like, sign this, I'm taking care of it. I don't know. We will see. The IRS doesn't give a shit if she knew or not, if she signed it. We learned that from the Judices. And everybody was like, oh, Teresa, you signed it. She's like, I didn't know. And they're like, yeah, too bad, so sad on that. And that's how that will play out if this is an issue. It will always come back round. The IRS is like the devil. Look, I was trying to make an allegory. No, it was a callback to Sutton saying, when you make a deal with the devil always gets paid. That's what I was trying to say. The IRS is like the devil. They always get paid. It was a Sutton callback for all of you that are watching this season. Please confirm. And so I emailed Ron and said, thank you. You and I see the American Express bill thing differently, but I'll ask for questions in the future. If you step on my keyboard, we're not going to be streaming for very long because you'll turn off my stream. So that was the response by Ron Richards. He wanted to make sure we had both sides, but now we have Richards on Twitter, me asking Erica's attorneys for a comment, and Richards having the last word in my email. I don't think Evan Borges is watching this video or gives a shit, so I don't expect that he will email me to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I don't want to be in the middle of everybody going back and forth either. I had questions. I still think that those are financial records that shouldn't have been shared on Twitter. It's not going to change my mind. Should we get to the next email I received? Anyone who's new here, please go ahead and just put a 1 in the chat because if you're new here, we're going to need a little bit of background and we're going to need a disclaimer. So if you're new, go ahead and throw a 1 in the chat. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. Marianne, I played the drums in band and then I switched to Flag Squad because the outfits were cuter. I had priorities in high school. I'm just going to be honest about how shallow I was. Oh, hello, all of the newbies. If you guys are here and you are new to the channel, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and do all the things. Lots of new friends in the chat. We are going to have to just give a little bit of background. So let's do that. So like a year ago, we're September, like a year ago, Kanye West started leaking his contracts on the internet and leaking on his Grammy on Twitter. And I was fascinated and I couldn't stop covering it. I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about how much these were worth. I wanted to talk about the contracts. I wanted to talk about the fact that we were getting kind of a peek inside of the music industry. And I did a couple podcast episodes about it and started putting those on YouTube. As that happened, a lot of stuff started to change for my channel. And then right in October, Tati Westbrook got sued by her business partner, Clark Swanson. And a year later, we're still like covering it. There's still mess going on with it. There are now 3 lawsuits from that lawsuit. The original business partner lawsuit. Swanson has sued the Westbrooks for defamation in Washington state. The Westbrooks have sued Swanson for a whole bunch of stuff. Well, the business has sued Swanson in Nevada. So much happening. In the context of all of that, I covered the Tati Westbrook business partner lawsuit. And then like days after I covered it, Tati Westbrook sued YouTuber KJ and her channel Without a Crystal Ball. So with that coverage came a whole bunch of mess that I was not familiar with. And I've said it multiple times. I was not familiar with Without a Crystal Ball. I don't watch her channel. I don't watch the types of things she covers. It's not my circle of the internet. I watch a whole lot of drama commentary videos, not as much of the reality TV commentary videos, except for like Kempire and Zach and Up and Adam and stuff. So I was unaware of the entire situation that comes with KJ on social media and the mess that came after that. And that case got messy very fast. You can watch Nick and Dustin covered. They got threatened to be sued at the beginning of it when they talked about it. So much mess on the internet. That case then settled. It seems that part of the settlement involved KJ sharing her source because we've seen that now be filed in the Nevada lawsuit between Halo Beauty and Clark Swanson. They have shared in that lawsuit quite a lot the amount of information that KJ gave to them with regard to what Swanson was allegedly saying to her. Swanson, of course, denies this, and we've covered that too. So I did not follow down the rabbit hole of whatever the fuck happened with Steve McRae and KJ. I do not know the background. You don't need to tell me because it's not super relevant to what we're going to cover today. It's just kind of context. That said, there is a very large anti-KJ community of people that do not like her or call her on her bullshit and hypocrisy. Calling people on their bullshit and hypocrisy doesn't bother me. It's part of the internet. Going real life with people, doxing them, calling CPS on them, that shit all crosses the line for me because going real life with people is too far. Doxing people is not okay. That has happened in context with this creator on all sides of it. So when we talk about this letter, the reason I was very hesitant to talk about this is because one, this is a polarizing creator, but also in our chat, we don't just beat up on people. That's not what we do. We're here to talk about facts, not fuckery. Even though KJ brings plenty of fuckery of her own, there are places to talk about her fuckery. It's just not this chat. And two, I don't want my breaking down of what I've received to be construed as legal advice to anyone. This is not legal advice. Your situation may be different. This is me breaking down this letter and my situation. Please do not take this as a directive to do something or not do something. Talk to your own attorney if you are unsure of what to do. I am concerned that it will be taken out of context. So, with that said, please don't take this as legal advice and don't take this as an invitation to beat up on any creators because two wrongs don't make a right. KJ has done all the things. You can find the videos on the internet. Truth Sleuth has covered it. Drama and Opinions has covered it. Lots of other channels have covered it. You can go watch those videos and have those conversations. I generally don't do like tea, and this isn't tea. We need to talk about this, but also two wrongs don't make a right. KJ doing whatever she does not make it okay for people to go real life with her either. And that's not okay. So let's just thank you, Law Nerds, for being amazing. Let's just get into it and talk about preservation letters because that's really what we're here for. I should swoop. I didn't swoop. We have talked about preservation notices in context of multiple cases, one of them being the Britney Spears conservatorship. In the Britney Spears conservatorship, there was an objection to an accounting, 12 accounting. And in that, Sam Ingham objected to fees spent to send a cease and desist on behalf of Lou Taylor, the business manager behind TriStar Entertainment. In that cease and desist, which was a cease and desist against a website talking about Lou Taylor, in that cease and desist, there was also a notice at the bottom that said also litigation is imminent. I'm paraphrasing, but litigation is imminent. Don't delete your shit. You have a duty to preserve. And when litigation is imminent, the parties to that litigation have a duty to preserve. We talked about this quite a lot in the defamation case with regard to Toddy Westbrook, with regard to KJ, because after the lawsuit was served, some noticed that KJ's Twitter went, private or dark or deactivated or whatever. And then Saltz filed a motion in court with regard to not deleting your shit. And we covered the motion here. He put in, again, those are allegations, put in examples of there was this comment and now this comment's gone, and things that they alleged had been deleted, videos that they alleged had been deleted, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a motion to the court regarding that, requesting a hearing. That settled between the parties, and they stipulated, beyond the duty to preserve, they stipulated that shit would not be deleted. Now, somehow I keep getting clips of KJ saying that I said she was going to jail over shit, which I never said. But when we talked about that, the consequence for breaking a stipulated agreement like that can be contempt. And we talked about that a little bit, not saying that it was in that case, saying that that can happen. They stipulated that shit would not be deleted. People were like, but shit's going missing. And KJ saw fit to continue, from what I observed, to talk about the case on like Instagram Live and not preserve those Instagram Lives publicly. It doesn't mean she wasn't saving them on the back end. We just didn't see it publicly. So that is where we've talked about preservation notices before. Let's talk about the email that I received that I know lots of others have received. Let's just. Good afternoon. The only reason I didn't redact this out of my email address is because my email address is my business email address, and that information is public. Good afternoon. You've been included on the list. What list? What list? Who gave who a list? Here's what I imagine happened. KJ was like, here's a list of people that I think are a problem. Send them the letter. Good afternoon. You have been included on this list. I don't see a list. Also, this was sent at 8:49 p.m. Central Time, so not afternoon, but cool. You are a known associate of Steve McRae. False. Inaccurate. Or have otherwise been involved in corresponding with Catherine Paulson in the recent past, or in the relatively recent past. Also inaccurate. We have not communicated, corresponded, had conversation, tweeted, subtweeted. I have been tweeted about. I have not engaged. And Katie emailed me, look, if you want to preserve the emails you've sent me, you have them. You've talked about them. I've talked about them. You emailed me. You have the email. Go ahead and save it. And I am not a known associate of Steve McRae. I don't know this situation and have not engaged because honestly, the truth is that it all seems way too fucking messy, and I don't have the time to parse through the years of back catalog of shit that has gone on between these two because there are other things to cover and I am busy. I don't know. They were on a YouTube show together, apparently non sequitur with some other dude, and it all devolved into mess. It is covered elsewhere on the internet. I am sure there are those who know the whole history. I do not. So inaccurate. Due to Mr. McRae's issuance of a complaint against Ms. Paulson in Minnesota, you can serve someone with a complaint and not file it in court. So you can serve someone and then you have a year to try to worky it out before it gets filed in court. So we have not seen that complaint yet. It does not seem to be filed in court yet, but you can serve a complaint on someone and then try to work it out before you file it. So that's what that is. Due to Mr. McRae's issuance of a complaint for what? Okay. Any and all relevant or potentially relevant evidence under Minnesota rules of civil procedure. What rule? And what evidence? And a complaint apropos to fucking what? I can't preserve shit when I don't know what it's relevant to because I don't know what the fucking thing is, but cool. Needs to be preserved by anyone in possession thereof. Cool. The nothingness has been preserved. You are one of those people. I assure you I am not, but all right. Nor am I a party to whatever impending litigation they think is coming or is coming. But please review the attached letter to ascertain your duties. Maybe it will tell me what the fuck the thing is. Under the law and the consequences for failing to adhere to those duties. I don't know if you can just attach a duty, but I'm going to say duty a lot just because duty is always fun to say. If you do not understand those duties or consequences, you are advised to retain your own attorney. Oh, is this legal advice? Am I getting legal advice in the letter? Maybe it is recommended. Either way, that's a solid sentence. If you do not understand those duties or consequences, more like if you don't understand this letter or what the fuck it means, or if it even applies to you, you're advised to retain your own attorney to explain them to you and assist in the process of collecting and preserving the evidence described therein, if they determine that's necessary and or relevant and or you can be attached on this. Please take this seriously. And take immediate steps to preserve all potentially relevant evidence. Good. There's none. Done. Other than the email KJ sent me, and she has that. So cool. I think I've deleted that long ago. Based on the allegations made by Mr. McRae of what? We will undoubtedly need to collect evidence and potentially need to conduct further discovery with regard to your involvement in the situation. Yeah, there's none. So there's none. To what situation, I am still unclear because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Thank you for your cooperation and taking this matter seriously. Sure. I hope you're otherwise well. Yep, I'm great. I'm leaving today. I'm going to Vegas. Have a good holiday weekend. Sure did. All my best. I'm sure that's not accurate, but okay. But thank you for your best, Graham M. Martin. I'm sure you have no idea what you've stepped into with this, but everyone deserves legal representation, and I appreciate it. Look, for those of you that were like, is this email true or not? If you ever get an email and you are not sure if it is true, call the number. Just give it a ring. Don't click the links, but call the number and give it a ring. Just see and ask, hey, Graham, what's up, buddy? Did you send me this letter? Cool. Thanks. Now I know it's a valid letter. So we can move on to the next part, which is the attached letter. I've seen speculation on the internet that this was not actually sent by a lawyer. Look, sending something out on somebody's letterhead, I am assuming that it is sent by that lawyer. I am not assuming anything else. Whether it applies to me is a whole different conversation, and I am not sure that that's the case, but this is sent out and presumably signed by a letter. I don't have any reason to believe that's not accurate, and that they did not send this letter to half of Twitter, hyperbole, and say, hey, preserve your shit. I don't know if everyone has a duty to preserve their shit. I imagine a lot of people don't have shit to preserve. You know who is under a duty to preserve? KJ and Steve McRae, because they are the parties to the litigation. It also doesn't say litigation is imminent because litigation has apparently happened, but there's no court number yet, but litigation has apparently started. So now we know there's litigation. Sent by email, yes. Demand for preservation of evidence and electronically stored information. Steve McRae, Catherine Paulson, the proceeding. Court file number what? About what? My law firm has been retained by Ms. Paulson to defend her in the above-named lawsuit against her initiated by Mr. McRae. Great. About what? I can't preserve things apropos to nothing. I personally have nothing, but what is the thing? Don't assume that I know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't. I know that there's been a notice to testify at a deposition, but I think that's regards to a different case. Let's continue. Let's continue on, because then I've got to go to the airport. It has come to my attention that you are currently or have in the past had online interactions with both parties in this suit. Nope. Being added is not me having conversations. Go look at Twitter. Due to the broad scope, and they probably have Twitter because a bunch of my shit got downloaded in the last lawsuit. So I'm sure you have it. Go look at it. None. I've tried to stay out of this mess. I do not know about this mess, and I don't know what the broad scope of allegations and communications are. Can someone tell me? No, that's hyperbole. Can this letter tell me? Because you're asking me to do something, but you're not telling me what you want me to do, because this is apropos to nothing at the moment. I am compelled to send this letter. Well, I'm glad the spirit has compelled you, but I imagine you've been hired to do such and not compelled to do such. But that's just me being picky. I am compelled to send this letter demanding that as a third party with potentially relevant evidence, I am a third party, but I am not a party to the lawsuit. You preserve all documents, tangible things, and electronically stored information potentially relevant to the issues in this situation. What the fuck are they? Tell me what the issues are. What are the issues? Potentially relevant to the issues. Gotta give me more. That said, it's I've not had any conversation with either, so there's nothing, which is why I can just be like, there's nothing. But if you were reading this letter, if another lawyer was, I am another lawyer. Hi, I'm other lawyer reading this letter. If I was reading this not on behalf of myself, but on behalf of a client, I would be like, This asks you to preserve evidence with relation to nothing because it never sets out what the issues are. It doesn't talk about what the complaint is. So how would anyone know what they're supposed to preserve in the scope of what allegations? It says, due to the broad scope of allegations. What are they? Is it a murderous conspiracy? Is it defamation? Is it mean tweeting? Is it hurt feelings? I don't know what it is. Breach of contract? What? What broad allegations? Okay. We're going to just continue on. As used in this document, you and your, look, I don't need a grammar lesson. What I need is to know what the fuck the issue is. Please. With all due respect and peace and love. As used in this document, you and your refers to the person to whom this letter is addressed above and their predecessors, successors, parents. Could you just tailor it to me? My parents have nothing to do with it. You should anticipate that much of the information subject to disclosure or responsive to upcoming discovery in this matter is stored on your current and former computer systems and other media and devices. Negative, Ghostwriter. I should not anticipate that much of the information about something that you haven't even told me what it is stored by me. I have no reasonable belief that that's true. All seems like hyperbole to me because you haven't told me what the thing is. So no, I don't have a reasonable belief. If I was a party to this litigation, like if this letter was sent to Steve McRae, then yeah, he should probably know. But he's under a duty to preserve because he's sued, and she's under a duty to preserve because she's being sued. As this suit progresses, please be aware that as a person of interest, not a criminal suit, or a potential witness, negative, in this proceeding, you should not discard, sell, transfer, ruin, or otherwise dispose of any device capable of storing copies of electronic communications of the list below, and that any such disposal may constitute spoliation of evidence subject to you or Mr. McRae to sanctions by the court. I'm not an associate, and I'm not a party, so no. But I go off, you do you. They go through and talk about the different forms of electronically stored information. Social media posts, by the way, sometimes those get taken down by the social media company. So hopefully you went and sent out a subpoena to them. Go ahead and preserve it at Facebook, at Instagram, at LinkedIn, at Twitter, and at Tumblr. And if I did receive a subpoena to turn over information, I would then have the right to object to that subpoena because you know what? I'm not a party. You know what? I don't know what the fuck is happening in this case or what the allegations are because it's not been filed in court. We haven't read it and it doesn't say here. So we don't even know what law this is under because you cited all of the rules of civil procedure pursuant to amendments to the rules of civil procedure. You must identify all sources of ESI you decline to produce. No, I don't. You not a party. You must act immediately to preserve potentially relevant ESI. Generally true if you're a party to the lawsuit. Generally accurate. Again, in the example of Lou Taylor, she sent a cease and desist to someone and said, hey, litigation's imminent if you don't follow the cease and desist, preserve. Fair. With the KJ suit, it's like, hey, you've been sued. We need lip gloss for this. And the lip gloss is in the purse. You've been sued. And because you've been sued, you're under a duty to preserve. There's a difference between, hey, you might have relevant information. You know who's going to have relevant information? The parties. You know who you can't just get information from? Everyone else. But all right. Okay. The case law talks quite a lot about, parties, employers of parties, things like that. Not like writing over security tapes. And then it goes against guarding against deletion. It talks about metadata, the shit that's destroyed if you delete a video off of YouTube, the metadata. It's nice to see that metadata is being acknowledged. It talks about home systems and laptops and online accounts and ancillary preservation and paper preservation. Paper preservation is inadequate. Hard copies do not preserve the electronic searchability or metadata. So weird. I feel like we talked about that a lot previously in another case. agents, attorneys, and third parties. Generally, all of these things would apply if you are a party to the case. This is the best part. Non-disparagement and non-harassment. I would like to not be harassed. Any and all attempts to correspond with Miss Paulson. Don't worry, I've never made any. Still am not. Still won't. But you can go ahead and check the email and social media accounts you have access to, which are hers, and you can see if there's been any correspondence, because if there had been, she would have them, but there's not. Any and all attempts to correspond with Miss Paulson related to this letter or anything else from this point forward will be collected and used as evidence. 10-4, as it should be. Please refrain from contacting or discussing Miss Paulson. Yeah, that's a big negative. In relation to this letter and this matter, I won't contact and have not done, nor have ever done. I've actually been flamed for not contacting her by her. But we're cool. So no, I will not contact her. And I would just suggest that all of you adhere to that part. Don't contact KJ. If you have questions, you've got Greg's or Graham. Who are we? Graham. You got Graham Martin's email. Just reach out to him and ask him any questions, because that's what he's asking you to do if you've received a letter. Agree. I agree. Hard agree with that. Don't contact her. Good. The discussing part, I'm not under any duty to do that. In relation to this letter and this matter, no. Direct any relevant, non-frivolous, non-harassing correspondence for her to my attention at G Martin. Okay, G. What you can't do is just stop people from discussing Miss Paulson. What people should never do is harass Miss Paulson or anyone. Internet harassment sucks. That goes for Miss Paulson. Internet harassment's a problem. Don't harass people on the internet. Cool. We're good there. But no, I'm not going to stop discussing this. When documents are filed in court, I said I would discuss them. They have not been filed yet. If I did not receive this, I would still not be discussing it. But here we are. Also, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy if you send this to a whole bunch of people who comment on things on the internet for a living. Literally what I do. And you can't just throw a paragraph in there and be like, hey, keep KJ's name out of your mouth. Nope. The First Amendment is a thing. And you can't just say, don't discuss it. There's no disparaging, harassing. I don't know how we're supposed to determine what's relevant. Direct any relevant, non-frivolous correspondence for her to my attention. I don't know what's relevant because you know what you haven't said? Anything about what this is about. You've been retained by KJ to defend her in the above-named lawsuit that has no number, initiated by Mr. McRae, and there's a broad scope of allegations. What the fuck are they? And this is not a KJ issue. This is a Graham M. Martin issue. You know what would have helped? At least when I got a letter from Swanson's attorneys, they made it very clear what they took issue with, and then attached the entire complaint. And we're like, see? And I was like, oh, I do see. Thank you. Great. Attach the complaint. And then at least I know what the allegations are, what may or may not be reasonably relevant, but I've had no conversations with either of these, so I don't know. But also, if you don't attach the complaint, how the fuck am I supposed to know what could or could not be relevant to the broad scope of allegations that I have not seen, that no one has lined out for me? Can't help you, buddy. Sorry. Send it. And we'll see. Should I just email Graham back and be like, I have no idea what you mean by the broad scope of allegations. Can you please send me the complaint? I think I should. I'll be like, look, I would love to help, but I have no idea what in the ever-loving fuck you are talking about. I do not know. So this is not a KJ issue. This is a Graham M. Martin issue. Send the complaint so people know. That's it. But this does seem like a letter. You guys are like, do it. Okay, we'll email Graham back. We'll be like, Graham, yo, we got questions. I have questions. You have questions. Perfect. We'll just email Graham back and ask. I don't know what you're talking about. However, I also have nothing to preserve which is why we can just be sassy on the internet. Because normally I would say if you're involved in something, not involved because there's no conversations. Also, not a party. So I went ahead and pulled some of the Minnesota rules, but this letter didn't direct us to what rule we were talking about. And can we talk about the font size on this fucking website? This is not, no. Your girl is dyslexic. This makes my eyes hurt. So failure to preserve, if electronically stored information that should have been preserved in the anticipation or conduct of litigation, I don't anticipate litigation, nor am I in litigation, is lost because a party failed to take reasonable steps to preserve it, it cannot be restored or replaced through additional discovery. The court may, A, upon finding prejudice to another party from loss of the information, may order measures no greater than necessary to cure the prejudice. Jury instruction, etc., etc. Only upon finding that the party acted with intent to deprive another party of the information's use, party, in litigation they may, 1, presume that the lost information was unfavorable to the party. Sure. Instruct the jury that it may or must presume that the information was unfavorable to the party. Hey, this information is gone. You may assume, jury, that they deleted their shit because it was unfavorable to them. You can go ahead and make that assumption. Normally, juries can't assume. Minnesota's like, you may presume that they deleted it because it doesn't look good for them. Or dismiss the action or the entire judgment. Okay, cool. That's what happens if you fail to preserve stored information as a party. So that's where we're at. I mean, I would like more information. This goes through the entire discovery obligations under, Minnesota Rule of Court 37. If there's another one, please direct me to it because I'm not a lawyer licensed to practice in Minnesota. And if I send this to Nick Riccati, he's just going to be like, this is stupid. Fuck off. Not to me, to the letter. Maybe I should because that would just be funny. But yeah, so that's where we're at with this. That's what I found under the rules of civil procedure since I wasn't cited to a specific rule of civil procedure and I have no idea what the allegations are. That's where we're at. Okay, I'm going to get to questions real quick and then I've got to jam because I got a plane to catch. If you guys aren't liked and subscribed, do the YouTubey things. If you want to follow along on my adventures as I travel and maybe get some new tattoos, you should probably just go follow me on Instagram at the Emily D. Baker, on Twitter at the Emily D. Baker, everywhere at the Emily D. Baker. If you want the I Have Thoughts podcast, which is going to be more of this because there's going to be a new one dropping while I travel, then you need to go and join the Law Nerds community on Patreon at lawnerdsunite.com. Yeah, that's where you're going to get more of this. More of this is what's going to happen on this week's I Have Thoughts members only podcast. So today I'm just going to tell you guys I'm excited and I'm kind of nervous to share. The flight to Vegas has Delta One, which I have never flown before. So it will be my first time flying Delta One, which is their like super bouge first class. I'm very excited. I've never been in super bouge first class. I mean, I like to drive most places and I don't fly often, but well, I haven't because of business, but because of COVID and business. So I'm kind of excited. So if you guys want to see that, make sure that you ask and come follow me over on Instagram and I will share Super Bouge first class. I'm very excited. Let's get to some of the, we like flying fancy. Kempire, when I saw they had Delta One on this flight, I was like, first of all, did they just make this plane going from here to there because they aren't going international? And second, oh my God, we're doing that. We're doing that. Let me get to questions. Ooh. I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. Christopher D, when do our memberships transfer or do we need to cancel and re-sign up? If you are talking about YouTube you shouldn't need to cancel. You should be able to shift to the Law Nerd tier. Google has assured me it's possible. I put it in the comment. I can also share it again, how to do that. Patreon, the Law Nerds community at lawnerdsunite.com is separate from the YouTube one. So if you just want to do that one, you can cancel on YouTube and do that one. The Patreon resubscribes the first of every month. So if you join now, you're at the beginning of the month. If you join on like the 30th or the 31st, well, then it will resubscribe the first of the month, which is why I'm sharing it now. Later in the month, I'll be like, just give it a week and join next month, because I don't want people getting double charged, but I know people want access to the members only live streams and to the podcast. Those stay up inside of the community. Hopefully that answered your question, Christopher. I'm going to scroll back. I know I missed some of the comments. Uncovering hypocrisy. She's threatening everyone with sanctions. Is this even accurate? If people have a duty to preserve and don't preserve, and it's proved that they didn't preserve, then the things that I read out are the consequences. Darn it. I already closed that tab. The tab that I went over are the consequences for failure of the duty to preserve. Let me pull it up. And we went over that. Sanctions, if it's not in there, sanctions would apply if there's a court order. And if there is a court order that you violate, then yes, you can absolutely be sanctioned. Duty to preserve. Let's see if I can pull this up again, because it listed out the three things if you fail to preserve. Let's see. So if there's another section, and there could be another section of their rules of civil procedure. I am not licensed in Minnesota, never have been, never been inclined to get licensed in Minnesota. If let's control F ourselves. If you it's down at the bottom. All right. Failure to preserve. Let's go through the consequences. May order measures no greater than necessary to cure the prejudice, presume that the lost information was unfavorable, instruct the jury, dismiss the action. That's what's listed here. If there's another rule of civil procedure, then I would be happy to see it and be corrected. But yeah. So I have not seen that. I really don't follow and or check on. So Rule 34.01 amended from 2017. Perfect. Let's go pull Rule 34.01. Sasha, much appreciated. Retrieve by number. Let's do that, because we're right in Rule 37, so that shouldn't be hard. These cats right now, I tell you what, did anyone hear George crashing around in the other room? Because let's see what Rule 34 says. Production of documents, electronically stored information, and things that enter upon land for inspection or other purposes. Any party may serve any other party with a request within the scope of 2602. So we have to look at that. To produce or permit the party to make request of someone acting on the requesting party's behalf to inspect or copy or test a sample designated documents, to inspect, copy, or test a sample of designated tangible things, to permit entry upon designated land, the procedure, and then it has the procedure of how you would do that. Production of documents, unless otherwise stipulated or ordered by the court, these procedures apply to producing documents and electronically stored information. A party must produce documents as they are kept in their usual course of business at the time of the request. If the request does not specify the form of producing the electronically stored information, a responding party must produce the information. A party need not produce the same electronically stored information if in more than one form. And persons not parties. Subpoenas. As provided in Rule 45, a non-party may be compelled to produce documents and electronically stored information and to permit inspection under subpoena. Independent actions. This rule does not preclude an independent action against a person not a party for production of documents and things and permissions. So subpoenas as provided in Rule 45. And for attendance of a witness form or issuance. So every subpoena shall, and it goes through the subpoenas of witnesses. And if you get subpoenaed, you can make the proper motions to quash, squash, or otherwise attend a subpoena, but you kind of have to adhere to subpoenas if there is cause to issue them, or you can test them in court. Let's see what Rule 2602 is. That's the rule we went to, discovery methods and scopes. And so this is the scope and limits. The scope of discovery is parties may obtain discovery regarding a non-privileged matter that it is relevant to a party's claim or defense and proportional to the needs of the case, considering the importance of the issues at stake. Well, we don't know. The parties' relative access to relevant information, the parties' resources, the importance of the discovery. Well, we don't know. We don't know the scope because no one has said within the confines of those. So again, Sasha, thank you very much. Because it should have been in the letter. That would have been very helpful. Can we talk about the signature of the lawyer? I mean, his way of signing is kind of strange. I didn't think so. I thought that the signature looked like a wet signature converted to digital. So it didn't bother me at all. A lot of lawyers have wet signatures that are then converted to digital. So it didn't seem strange to me at all. It just seemed like that was, again, a previous wet signature. So that I answered. Question: if Graham Martin is actually just legal software, is that even legit? I imagine Graham is an individual with a bar number. I can't imagine that this is just a form. It shouldn't be. It's on letterhead, but it has a phone number. So if anybody's concerned about that received a letter, not internet sleuths, that received a letter, you can go ahead and do that. Am I going to be in the San Diego area, Captain Wee the Barmy? No, I am not going to be in the San Diego area. But as I share on Instagram, it will become obvious where I am. I try not to give too much of a heads up because, internet security. Does the duty to preserve apply to people outside of the U.S. who received this letter? I don't know how they would subpoena people outside the U.S. It doesn't mean they can't subpoena people outside of the U.S. So, Kempire, you are a king among humans. We knew it was going to be September 14th. I am happy that it has come to fruition. Yay. Yay. Seems like the info she wants is largely what would be found by deposition. I don't know what they want because I don't know what the broad scope of allegations are, but I think the issue, if I were to guess, is that they are concerned that Steve McRae has already gotten rid of stuff. So they are trying to find the other end of the communication to preserve the stuff, if that is had, so that they can try to subpoena it. And then people can either decide to quash subpoenas or not. But Steve McRae would generally be the one who would have the information. And since there has been pending litigation with them for at least a little bit that he initiated, he should have not deleted his shit either. Thank you, Kempire. I appreciate it. My old kitty would smack your ankles and run off. Enchanted Wings, this kitty has smacked me in the face with his tail and run off. And that is now on the Giphy keyboard and on Twitter. I thought it was funny. Icane, question: do you have an email address for story requests and or questions? Not legal advice, just a story I'd like to hear your opinion on. Yes, my business email is listed on all of my socials, so you can absolutely send it there, and then me and the team can collect it. DJ Pocket, my best friend, is a law student, and I sent him all your videos all the time. You're so dope. Thank you. I try to make it make sense, make it entertaining, and really talk about the serious and non-serious sides of the law. Look, if you're a party to a lawsuit, you have a duty to preserve. Do that, and just trust the court process. If you're not a party to a lawsuit, look, get your own attorney, talk to them about the situation and what information you may or might not have. I don't want to get into this beef. If I had information, which I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't just turn around and start deleting shit, even though I might have opinions on whether that happened or not in other cases. It wouldn't change what my ethics are, and it wouldn't change what my, hey, I don't really think I'm a part of this, but if there's something that I have, I don't really care. I'm not going to just go ham and wipe stuff. But also the parties in this have the duty to preserve. But could this letter have been much more helpful? Yes. Citing the specific rules would have been helpful. Sending along the complaint. So it's like, these are the broad scopes so that if you took this letter to a lawyer and said, hey, can you help me on this? They would say, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the scope of these are. There's no case number. I can't go look up the case and tell you. I don't know. I don't know what the broad scope of allegations are. So I can't tell you to preserve anything because I don't know what they're seeking to preserve because it's too vague and it doesn't make any clear sense. So that is what I think a lot of lawyers would say if you took this letter to them. And again, things that you see on the internet, if you see people speculating about this, that's not it. Top of the morning, y'all, from rural San Diego. Thank you so much. All right, I think I've got back up. If I missed any super chats today, I am sorry. I'm going to have to jam in just a moment. Can we get a huge thank you for the mods and a reminder that there is no Friday Night Live this week? I am sorry, there is not. I will be, well, hopefully I'll be at a concert, but you never know. With the state of the world, you never know. Hopefully I will be at a concert. If I am not at a concert, I will pop in and say hello, not on YouTube, on Instagram probably, which is where it's easier to stream when I'm on my phone. It's harder to stream on YouTube from my phone. But if I do stream from YouTube on my phone, I probably won't leave it up because I hate the way it looks. Afterwards. Question: if Graham Martin is selling legal software, is it still a valid letter? Will his other works or enterprises doesn't mean he can't still send letters. I've sold legal templates in the past. And I still did consulting work. I did not do this kind of representative work, but no, it wouldn't make it invalid. If this letter was not sent by the signatory on it, that would be a problem, but I have no reason to believe that's the case. And if somebody received a letter and is curious, they can always just go ahead and call or email back and say, I'm not sure if this is a legit letter. Who pays for the lawyer? KJ's recommended you seek if you are unsure of this email. The person who seeks counsel pays for that. So if you receive a letter. Some people were having issues last night on Kempire's show about RR's fees being paid and that he's taking money away from the victims. Susie Q, I did not have a chance to see Kempire's show last night. Richards has taken it on contingency fee. So if it goes to trial, he gets 45% of whatever is recovered and his fees. And I think Erica was making shady comments about that on Twitter too. It's a contingency fee agreement that was approved by the court. So people might not like it, but the court approved it. So whatever they recover from Erica, if they recover $100 from Erica, he gets whatever fees he outlaid, filing costs, investigative costs. If there's a cost to get discovery or a cost to copy papers or whatever it is, he gets all of those costs and he gets 45% of whatever's left. So if the costs, God, I can't do math, but if the cost and the 45% equal 100%, then he gets 100%. I doubt that'll happen depending on how much is recovered. And if he outlays costs and recovers nothing from Erica, then he gets nothing. So that's contingency. It's a dice roll. I feel like she had her lawyer draw this up so you would talk about her. I mean, I don't think that I'm that important in the world. I would like to be talking about other things. I think that whatever's going on with her and Steve McRae, it has been going on for some time, and it probably is quite nasty, and that's not fun for any of the parties involved. I know that in the past they had some kind of settlement agreement, and I don't know if the settlement agreement expired or what, but it seems like shots have been fired back and forth. I don't know the underlying what's what of it all. Could she have had these sent out to stop people talking about her altogether? I mean, it could be the goal is to have people stop talking about her altogether, but that's not how that works. And until anything else is filed, it's not how it will work here. We have other things to talk about. Remember Haley Page? We need to talk about her. And in the Sherelle's World case, it looks like Sherelle has hired Saltz and that the court has issued an order to show cause about jurisdiction. So there's stuff happening in that case that was a mess that we haven't circled back on yet. Erica said, if KJ doesn't have any money or assets for Todd Chrisley to go after in his lawsuit, what can he achieve? If he's looking for her source information, then he can achieve what Tati achieved, which is tell me what was told to you so I can go after them. Because in Tati's litigation, I think part of what they wanted was either her to stop talking about them or if Swanson gave them information to get that information. So that's what I think. So it might be information, but It might be, look, we need you to stop. It might be getting a judgment where she can't talk about them at all, or a settlement where she can't talk about them at all. There could be other goals than just, we were damaged to this amount of money, so pay us this amount of money. Undercovering, I got to that. Thank you so much, Ashley Vincent. Thank you so much, Dr. Riley. I appreciate us keeping it good. He's an estate planning attorney. That's what his website says. So, sure. Okay. I mean, I'm sure he's not looking at all the nonsense going on Twitter. Most attorneys don't. Can we talk about the signature? We got to that. I'm trying to make sure I got to all of them because I appreciate it. So it seems that we got to those. Thank you all for your support. We talked about that. Sasha, again, thank you. Is this cease and desist? It's not a cease and desist. It's a preservation. Only legally binding to Steve McRae. No, it's a preservation letter. And I can't say who, because everyone's situation is different. There might be people who could be parties to this, could be additional parties. If there are people working with Steve McRae to do whatever it is that I don't even know, because the complaint's not attached. So I don't know what Steve McRae is saying that KJ did. But there could be other parties to this that are reasonable parties that can say, yeah, I'm reasonably involved in this. I can anticipate litigation. And in the anticipation of litigation, parties have a duty to preserve. So that's why it really just depends. But I can't speculate on it. One, because I don't know the situation. And two, there's no complaint attached. So I don't know what the broad scope of allegations are. And it doesn't mean Steve McRae side won't send it out to people they think are associating with Catherine Paulson with regard to whatever the broad scope of allegations are. We just don't know because we don't have the allegations because they're not attached. So, oh, that's a response. We got to. It states the package she purchased isn't her lawyer nor endorses its content. It seems inappropriate and an overreach and a scare tactic. She served some people not even in the US. It states, I don't know what package, D Ash, and I don't see that. I mean, what I see on this letter is McRae Paulson preservation of evidence letter, a signature, and then the email. Let me see what the fine print says. This email message, including any look, the phone number's on there. You guys, if anyone receives a letter, you can call and ask, or other accompanying materials or information. Collectively, the message is private, confidential communication. Well, is intended for the personal and confidential use of the recipients. The message is a law firm. The message is from a law firm and may be attorney-client communication that is privileged and confidential. Well, not if you're sending it to me. If you are not the intended recipient, you are not the authorized recipient, notify the sender. Here's the phone number. The law firm is a Minnesota LLC whose lawyers are licensed to practice in one or more states. I mean, there's nothing about that now. If this message concerns negotiation of a contractor agreement under Minnesota UETA and the federal e-sign law, do not apply to this message, and contract formation shall occur only with the manually affixed signatures. Look, I have no reason to believe it's not sent from a law firm. This is an email client, so I don't have any reason to disbelieve that, nor have I seen anything. So behind, just had to rejoin anywhere. Missed y'all, and September 12th is almost here. Gear up for the Jen Shaw of it all. Right? I am so ready. Question, if you are not in Minnesota, are you still bound by their rules from the UK? So no idea how this works there. Also, this is my first live. Welcome. And it really can depend if you're subject to jurisdiction in Minnesota, but there's a difference between being a witness and being compelled into a court that's not in your state. And I don't want to see, it's hard to answer without being seen as giving instructive law. Sometimes, but not always. So sometimes, but not always, you are bound by their rules. It's hard to bring in out-of-state parties, and it's hard to subpoena out-of-state parties. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It doesn't mean it can't be done, which is why if somebody is worried about it, they should absolutely ask. I'm so seriously late. Love the show and prefer live to the replay. Really wanted to know more about this letter. Thank you. Well, now we have it. So you're welcome. We do thank you to Tech for reminding me that we need to get to court of public opinion because we had to do that. So let me pull those up. I got so into questions and then my brain started to wander of like, I need to remember to grab my Nintendo. Like this is critical. I need to remember to grab my Nintendo Switch so I can play Zelda on the plane. I also have to write a talk I'm giving later this month on the plane that's like living in my head right now that has to not be in my head right now. So don't forget to do the YouTube-y, likey, subscribey things. I appreciate it. I've already told you about Patreon, the Law Nerds community at lawnerdsunite.com. There will be another episode of I Have Thoughts, the members only private podcast. And I'm going to go to YouTube first because this has 14,000 votes on YouTube. No, I just screwed it up. Why is this hard? Come on. Give me the business. All right. Give me the business. Dr. Baker's like, what? I heard you. What did you say? When does your plane leave? All right. Enough of Sassy Emily. Enough of Sassy Emily. COPO. Where do you keep your butter? Not where you put it for prep. Where do you store it? The refrigerator, the counter, both. The refrigerator is kind of smashing on this. Sorry, Diva. We love you. Diva's like, it goes on the counter. What's wrong with you people? It has to stay soft. There was a lot of regional difference with regard to this for sure, because people were like, hey, it depends on where you live. Legit both. Sometimes you need a pat of butter and other times you just want that easy spread factor. Freezer, refrigerator, and on the counter in a covered dish. Salted butter, 1 stick of butter in a dish. For bread, toast, etc. Not a fan of margarine or spreadable butter. Same. Unsalted, I always keep in the fridge or freezer and pull out to get to room temp. So the most compelling arguments I saw about this, with 14,000 votes, 71% refrigerator. Most compelling arguments I saw on this were, hey, at the grocery store, they store it in the refrigerated section in, the States, which they need to extend the life of it before you get it home. But once you get it home, if you're eating it regularly, it could go on the counter. It's not going to harm you. Unsalted maybe doesn't last as long, but I think it depends on where you live. Katya, good to see you. I still leave mine on the counter, even in New Orleans. I mean, there you go. And look, everyone has survived. We've all survived. So let me pull up court of public opinion from Twitter. With 3,000 votes on Twitter, 69.5% say counter or say refrigerator, 11.8% say counter, 18.8% say both. And so I think there's a lot of you keep some on the counter for easy spread and you keep the rest in the fridge. The question is, see, this is a valid question. Who has time to thaw butter in the morning before toast in a rush? It's a fair point. My butter goes into the coffee maker and blends because I drink bulletproof coffee when I'm not drinking Starbucks. I know that those seem like a contradiction. Let me live. But we do pull it out in the morning if the kids are getting ready and we're doing waffles or pancakes or something with butter, and then we'll put it back in the fridge. So anyway, that's where we're at. Lots of good arguments. Butter for immediate use is on the counter at all times. Any extras stored in the fridge. I mean, I get it. EJ was our Thanksgiving, warm up to Christmas, and now Shaw. Yep, absolutely. We have lots of housewives to go. All right, y'all. I hate to have to cut and run, but I get travel anxiety, and so I got to go get ready to go and then hop in the car and get to the airport. I will keep you updated on travel journeys. So if you want to see me, I will not be back on the YouTubes until next week. I will be back, or I anticipate being back. If something crazy happens, I'm not going to say I might not stream from my phone, but I anticipate being back for Coffee and Cursey Words on the 15th of September. There are plenty of videos on this channel to check out. There will be a new episode of The Emily Show live tomorrow that's covering some roundups and the Scarlett Johansson case, because Disney responded and they had a lot to say. Honey, Disney is angry. The mouse has teeth. It's like big, sharp, pointy teeth. the mouse is not pleased with Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit. So that will be live for you. I have an extra episode of the Emily show coming out, I think on Friday or Saturday. And then next Wednesday, a new episode. So I will see you again next week on Wednesday. Unless you follow me at the Emily J. Baker on social. Come on. I am trying, look, just for pure numbers of it all, I am trying to get to 30,000 on both Twitter and Instagram, and so close. So if you don't follow me there, I would love a follow. It just makes me happy. We get to continue the conversations elsewhere. Thank you so much. Hopefully that was helpful. And we'll see what happens. Away we go. We might shoot off an email and ask for context, because God knows I need some context on this thing. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. Thank you for being law nerds. Thank you for being here. Be well, stay well, and may the odds be ever in your favor. I'll see you in the next one. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.